Good morning, everybody. It is episode number 55 of The Map, the Mental Health and Addiction Podcast. We started this podcast back in, January of 19 to help bring light help bring to light the issues around mental health and
Illuminate the
addiction.
issues.
Illuminate, as you may know, 1 in 5 people in the U.S. struggle with mental health issues. As a matter of fact, over 70,000 people have actually overdosed. And it's an issue that affects communities and does not discriminate based on geography or economic status.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health and addiction affects us all. And joining me, as always, is my friend and colleague, the great Willie Drinkwater.
Hi ho.
Hi, who are you, William?
Who am I? What am I doing here? All the existential
Not
questions,
That's
huh?
right. That's
Where's
right.
Jean-Paul Sartre when you need him? So
That's right. Or
uh,
I don't even know. Go ahead.
a little about me. Yeah, I've been in the field of mental health and addiction for 32 years. I got my start in addiction, but then crossed over into inpatient psych for close to 14 years and stuff. So I think of addiction, dual diagnosis is the expectation, not the exception. I have a private practice. I'm an educator for UMass Boston in the addiction counseling education program, where my primary course is addiction with co-occurring disorders. I'm a practicum supervisor, do family and addiction issues, that type of thing. So
And you've been around for
yeah, 32 years in the field. So
32 years in the field and well respected, and you used to be a comedy writer
I did.
as
I
well.
did. I was with WBCN, the Rock of Boston, on the morning show.
Oh, but WBC and the Rock
The
of
Not Before
Boston.
Breakfast Big Mattress Players,
That's
104.1,
long before I ventured to
made to the Boston scene. Yeah.
this region. My name is Andy Bernstein, as I mentioned in the opening. Thank you, by the way, Willie. My name is Andy
Sure.
Bernstein. I am pretty passionate about helping people with mental health and addiction. I started a show back in October of or December of 2017 called Crosscheck with NFL great or NHL great Kevin Stevens. Willie was one of my hosts, and my background is in TV and radio, and I felt like I can really help people in this time with my background and trying to help people understand what's going on in the world of mental health and addiction through the power of the media. So, um, Willie and I are holding down the fort today. Chris is on assignment. Who knows where she is right now, right?
She
She
could be
could
in the Lincoln Tunnel. Who knows?
she could be in the Lincoln Tunnel. She could be, looking for shells on the beach. Hopefully it's not red tide down in Florida. Um, so we're gonna make do, and
Isn't
we're
that a
gonna.
song, Green Grass and Red Tides Forever?
No, that's my debut album.
No. Oh, Green Grass and High Tides. No,
Yeah,
never
that's
mind.
right.
Yeah,
That's
go
right.
ahead.
My debut. So obviously Thanksgiving holidays coming up. It's a very scary time for some people out there, or a lot of people out there, given the COVID and all that's going on with the holidays and depression, etc. We have a special guest joining us today. Her name is Beth Stark. She's the Goose Mom. Let's bring her in, and we're going to catch up with Beth, kind of hear what
Hmm.
she's up to. We've had her on the show before, and then we're going to hear from Willie, who's going to give us some great insight about pandemic tips
Hmm.
of coping, which is something he does. Hello, Beth.
Hello, Beth. Good morning.
Hi guys, how are you?
Well,
Good.
thank
It's
you.
good to see you, friend. Good to see
Good
you.
to see you too. I miss people.
I know. We're all in our little bubble, and it's a little crazy of a time. But you've been on the show before,
Mhm.
and we're thrilled to have you back. Your story continues to evolve and grow. So for those of you who maybe haven't seen the show before, um, I know you've told this story ad nauseum, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you're up to today and how you've been coping in the pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my name is Beth Stark. I am someone who lives with a diagnosis of bipolar and substance abuse disorder. I'm in recovery. I'd say, yeah, I'm in recovery for many things, but those are my big two things. I am the mom to a beautiful 5-year-old boy who
Hmm.
is my heart, my everything, my drive. And Andy, do you want me to give a little backstory or?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Please.
in 2016, I was lucky enough to be saved from a suicide attempt in the Charles River, and that started my journey on my road to recovery. It was not smooth. It was not easy. I 2016 that happened, got diagnosed bipolar, came out, still struggled that summer. At the time, I'd been served divorce papers and I had parenting rights, which meant I could see my son, but I couldn't have any things that I'd say people take for granted, like driving a car with my son, taking him to Target, doing any of that. I went to rehab that fall. I loved it. I did great. I came out, made it 6 months, hung out with someone who did not have my best interest at heart. And I relapsed. And it was very difficult. I came clean. And coming clean was the best thing I did. It stunk because then it started everything back over again, but I got a whole new path to recovery. I embraced lots of different pathways. I met amazing people along the way, and that was March 24th, 2017. And I sit here today, and things are so different. I work as a recovery coach and a peer specialist. I'm very concerned with Thanksgiving and COVID and just the isolation that everyone's feeling, and because it's just awful. And I just started grad school at Simmons to for my MSW, and it's so awesome, so hard. It's hard. It's harder in the sense of reading and learning about so many things that I went through and being able to identify with what's written in the textbook.
Let's. I wanted to back up for a second.
Yeah.
Can you talk about why we call you the Goose Mom?
Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry.
Okay, and then we'll go. And then I want to talk about some of the things that you're specializing in as well.
So in the summer of 2017, I was working at a daycare in Waltham, and it was incredibly difficult because I was going to work every day, working with children when I didn't have my own rights to be a parent. And I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I remember I had this really nosy teacher, and I'd worked there before, left my maternity leave, came back. They knew I was divorced. They knew things weren't great. And she kept asking me why I didn't have a car seat in my car. And finally I was like, I don't have a car seat because I can't drive with Philip. And I started bawling my eyes out. And I thought of that yesterday. And then one day I was leaving work and, backtrack. There's a big pond outside the window. And every spring for like years, we had seen families of geese out there. They gave birth to their goslings. They went around, and it was like they were like little families, like cousins and aunts and uncles. And it just happens every year. And then one day I was leaving work and I saw one goose walking by herself, and I pulled over and I was like, that's me. And I'm trying not to cry. Everyone left her, and she's sick and she needs help. And it just opened something up in me. And then it started me telling people how agonizing it was to walk in my shoes. And not that I wanted pity or sympathy, because a lot of this stuff were things that I did, but it was so difficult to say to people. I don't have my son, and I didn't know why these things happened to me. I had no idea. I grew up in a town where drinking was okay. Like everyone kind of drank in people's basements, wasn't a big deal. In my 20s, I probably always drank recklessly. And then after I had my son, it was like something switched and I could not stop drinking. And it's like while I'm in school right now and I'm thinking about all these things, it's like opening up old wounds in a good way, because now I can kind of say, oh, that was like a loss of a role. Like that's what happened. So that makes sense to me, like why I felt so horrible. Besides the obvious of not having my child, losing my marriage, losing my home, losing that side of my family that had been my family for 10 years. Friends dropped me. People didn't want to be around me. They couldn't understand why I would make those mistakes, why I would do those things, like what was wrong with me. And it was like, well, there was lots of mitigating factors going on in my brain. And it stunk. And so geese are my spirit animal. And actually this morning I picked up.
I was.
I picked up Philly this morning from his dad, and we were driving back and we saw geese. So we pulled over and took pictures of them, because whenever he sees them, he's like, Mama, geese, like, and he knows that's me and him. And so
you identified it's such a big part of your story. So you continue to evolve, right? So when I met you, you were doing
This is my brave.
Right.
Early education. Yep.
Right. I met you a couple years ago already. Crazy. And you, This Is My Brave is something that you do, which we'll get into a second. But okay, so since we last spoke, you got into graduate school, as you talked about, which is amazing, right?
I'm so proud.
You should be. Now, what are you trying to study in What are you trying to study? What are you trying to, you talk a lot about postpartum depression is one of the things that
Yes.
you, I don't know if that's part of your grad school. Uh,
Well, yeah.
uh,
So I'm in the MSW program and my concentrations in groups and families.
Hmm. Hmm.
I want to work, ideally, once I'm done with my program, I really want to work with moms with postpartum. And I think the more I talk about it and the more I get to know people, the more I hear that so many people had it. Like I'll meet, this isn't funny and I'm not laughing at it, but I'll meet guys and they're like, they're divorced and they're like, my wife had that or so, and it's so trivial. I'm like, it's not, postpartum is the baby blues. Postpartum is lots of things. But what we hear about in the media is postpartum is when, like at Christmas, when the mom jumped off the building last year with her kids,
Hmm.
right? The first thing I thought of was that was postpartum. Is it? And she was just like, her family was like, they were just so hard on her in the newspapers, and it's awful. Of course, she jumped off a parking garage with her babies,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I'm like, well, who missed her struggle? Like,
Right.
what happened that she thought that that was the answer?
Hmm.
And I was very lucky. Like, people hear postpartum and they're like, oh, you want to kill your children. It's not. I wanted to kill myself. And it was feeling like an imposter, feeling that I was failing, feeling like I was doing everything wrong. And I went into my pregnancy so confident because I've been a nanny. I'm one of five. I babysat my whole life. It is like no hell I can explain.
Willie, from a clinical perspective, does how
I think
and
Beth has a real advantage because you actually can see how the academic fits in and where it will fit in and where it doesn't fit in, so I think that gives you a heads up. But Andy, yeah, you were going to say.
did that exasperate your I guess for both of you, Beth, did this exasperate your addiction? And Willie, have you
Yeah,
had an
Beth, I'm also a
experience?
person with bipolar disorder and a alcohol history and stuff. Oh yeah, I mean when I drank it didn't calm me down. It just disinhibited me and I was roaring for a couple of days, Especially on the comedy scene in Boston. I mean, it was just a given.
Right, but from a postpartum perspective, does it chemically affect,
Hmm.
like, when you were drinking, did you drink while you had postpartum, and did it exasperate? Did you drink more? How did you, did you use drinking as a coping mechanism, I guess?
Oh, absolutely. I remember
Hmm.
driving back from the Cape. My son was 7 weeks old, and I started bawling my eyes out. And we had been on a vacation, and I loved it. Like I loved every second of it. And we were with my ex-husband's family, and I felt safe there, and I felt like I had help. And not that I did not have help. I don't mean that. I had a lot. I had help. But then we got home, and it was like it was me and Philly, and
Hmm.
we decided I wasn't going to go back to work, and money was tight, and there was all these life stressors that
Hmm.
now I can look at and understand so much better
Hmm.
about what was going on, because at the time, and also there is a tremendous amount of shame of raising your hand and saying like, hey, I'm a mom that's drinking too much, help me. I went to new mom groups, I did all of that. Nobody was saying the same things.
Hmm.
People were talking about they were tired. I was like, of course we're tired, we have babies, like everyone's tired. um, but no one was talking about that, and I felt truly truly alone. And now,
Hmm.
especially for what I do for work and what I'm studying, I'm not alone. And I want, this is why I talk, because I want somebody else to hear me say it, and then they know they're not alone.
That's why support groups are really important. I mean, with support groups, one of the big benefits from support groups is that you're able to identify with someone else that's been what you've been through, or they're going through it also, so you don't feel alone. I mean, that's a major piece. And you mentioned about the bipolar piece and the addiction piece. Have you ever heard of DBSA, depression,
Yes,
bipolar? Okay,
I was going to them at McLean Wednesday
right.
nights for a while.
Wednesday nights, yeah.
Yeah,
What does
and
that
then
mean? Oh, all the acronyms get me crazy.
DBSA is Depression Bipolar Support Alliance. It's a great group. They're national. They're based in Chicago, Illinois, but there's meetings all over the country. Much like a lot of times when people are going on vacation, they'll look ahead to see where they can pick up an AA meeting or an NA meeting. You can do the same with DBSA too, where you can pick
Oh,
up a meeting. And the biggest group usually within the meeting is Double Trouble. substance abuse with either the
Yeah.
bipolar piece or major depression. And how do I get through the day without a drug or a drink and maintain my mental
Well,
stability?
so that's the thing. And so Beth, and then you had mentioned something about the COVID, but can you talk quickly about This Is My Brave and what you do
Mm,
with This Is
all right.
My Brave?
Oh yeah. So I found This Is My Brave on Instagram. I was scrolling through bipolar moms or bipolar, and this was
Mm,
must have been 2018. Oh no, it was the end of 2017, early 2018. No, I'm sorry, I'm lying. 2018. I found them. And the woman who, one of the co-founders, Jen Marshall, is her hashtag was bipolar mom. And I just like climbed in her pocket and I was
yeah.
like, oh my God, I can't believe anybody's talking about this. Oh, this is amazing. Because at the time I was so focused on my recovery from substance that I was like immersed in AA, but there was still this huge other piece that I had to deal with. And
Yeah.
you couldn't, it's just not as talked about in some of the meetings
No.
that I was going to. So I found her and then I went onto their website and I found it was storytelling. So people would use like storytelling, music, dance, anything to share their experience with mental health and
Mm-hmm.
substance abuse and to break the stigma. So they had an audition in Concord, New Hampshire, and I wrote an essay and I went up and I read it and I ugly cried in front of everyone. Jennifer Marshall was there. Before I even went in, I was like starstruck.
Mm.
And I like really bared my wounds in front of all of these people that didn't know me. And they accepted my essay and it was amazing. And when I got to deliver it in April 2019,
Mm.
Andy, that's when we met. So Philip had just been in Children's Hospital for 2 weeks.
Okay.
I went up there and I got to stand in front of 300 people and share. I had full 100% shared custody of my son. And I do not like I think one of the things that someone said to me afterwards, this guy came up to me and he's like, if I saw you at Starbucks, I would never believe that that happened to you. And I was
Mm.
like, well, that's the thing. Just because I don't wear anything on my t-shirt or I look a certain way or I dress a certain way, it absolutely does not mean that I do not have immense struggles or
You never know
particularly
what a
had them.
person's you
Nope.
never know what a person's going through until you actually sit with them and talk, you
Yeah.
know?
Beth, the thing about you that I always um I'm full of compliments today, but the thing about you is that I love the fact that you do so much work on yourself, self-growth, right? You are always evolving,
I'm
right?
trying. I'm
And you're
trying.
No, no,
really
no, I don't think you're trying. I think you're doing. There's a difference. You're
it's
not
a
you're not trying, you're
remarkable. You're
doing.
one of my favorite. You
Oh,
are. I've been doing this for this is 3 years. You're one of my. I always have you on because you continue
You love
to
all of us with the
do.
bipolar piece anyway.
I
I
do,
know you
but
do.
we're
she's
a lot of
always
fun.
Absolutely.
she's always doing the work. The Beth, but
Yeah.
isn't that a telling theme though? The bipolar piece. I mean, Beth, you when I met you, I think you were waiting tables and you were working at early childhood
Yep.
education. And so
Yep.
now you're in graduate school.
Hmm.
You've been sober. You're doing
Great
public
school, by the way,
speaking.
too, Simmons. Good school.
Thank
So
you.
Great
so
school.
think about all you've I mean, and I know every day you're like you're so grateful about it. You know, what for people out there, okay, so we talked about the COVID.
Oh,
You
Mm.
said you're very concerned about that. I know that I see, I saw in Pennsylvania they just banned beer sales
I
last
saw
night.
that. Yep.
Mm.
Um, People, I don't know if people understand, they may, but alcohol is a depressant
Mm.
and it really puts you in, it's like that vicious cycle. Talk about what some of your concerns are with the COVID right now that Beth, you were talking about.
So for work, as I'm a peer specialist and a recovery coach.
Mm.
So
Mm.
we prior to
Working for
COVID,
Working for
yeah,
Jeff, who we've
yep.
got, yeah, Jeff Wolfsburg. Go
Jeff
ahead.
Wolfberg, fancy
Oh,
Jeff.
Jeff, you're working with Jeff Wolfsburg?
He's my big boss.
Tell him I say hello.
I will. I will. I will. I will. He just got a promotion, so he's doing really well. He's doing really
Cool.
well.
He's a good dude.
He
Yeah,
Yeah.
is a
he's a
good
dude.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like him. He's funny. So prior to COVID, part of my job was I met people like coffee shops, walks, libraries, whatever. We would go out, and then when COVID initially came, my son's daycare closed, like locked the key. And so
Mm.
he was with me more, which I just want to touch on that. One of the things I wanted from life was more time. I wanted just time. And in the strangest way, this pandemic has given me so much more time with my son. And it's a blessing because my husband, I'm sorry, oh my God, my ex-husband and I, both of our
Yeah.
jobs are essential. And he has to be at his job where I have the option to do mine a bit more remotely now, which is good. So Philly's been with me. And it's amazing to have that. But so over the summer, I tried my hardest to get out and meet people, weather permitting. I was actually meeting people up until last week. If it was nice out, I could meet people, go for walks. Now the numbers are spiking, and
Yeah.
I get tested weekly, but we all know the test can come back false positive. I live with my parents who are 74 and 80. One day we won't, but we do still. And my son, and I don't want to infect anybody because I'm the one that's out in the field. So,
Right.
but I do. I mean, I've met like some people, and it's scary. And one of the things when you talked about depression, so I had no idea I was bipolar until after I had my son. I'm sure that other people suspected it, but I didn't. It wasn't known. Um, I never realized that I was like hypomanic, so I run a little bit higher. So when I was drinking alcohol, the lows that it took me to, like I was doing it to myself
Sure.
in a sense. Like, I mean, I have days, but I get more melancholy. I get the blues. But I literally was drinking something, thinking on one hand, it calmed my brain down, but on the other hand, it made me so sad. So
The
sad.
next day, the
Oh,
night of is a good time,
yeah.
right? But the next day is like,
You pay the piper.
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't feel good. I mean, I don't drink. I mean, I may have a drink once a year, but I don't really drink because I know the next day I feel horrible.
Yeah.
I feel depressed. As somebody who battles with depression, I feel depressed and I'm scattered. I'm like, where are my keys? Everything is just like, just,
It's like the clients that I have. They say, "Well, do I drink because I'm depressed, or depressed because I drink?" And the answer is yes. I mean,
Yeah.
both, right?
Yeah.
you got to work. It's like putting a dehumidifier and like they'll be on an antidepressant drinking on it. And it's like having a dehumidifier with a humidifier in the same room, and you're letting them fight it out. It's like it's crazy.
So the isolation, I was going to say, I don't know. I just have to, this comes to my
Well,
head, Shane.
one of the few benefits that I've seen from the COVID for many people, though, is that there are those that have gone into a self-reflection mode. Like all of a sudden, they've been going 100 miles an hour working and doing their thing. And then all of a sudden, like the brakes were slammed on and they're looking around going, okay, so this is my life. Is this what I really want? And I think many people are reevaluating where they're at and what they
For
want out of life because
for
they
sure.
have the time now.
My cousin had a gambling and a big gambling problem and a cannabis problem, and he for years, and he was really it was causing him a lot of problems, the cannabis, and he quit. The COVID just like forced him to self-reflect, and he's quit smoking cannabis and gambling, right? I
That's
mean,
awesome.
for months, right?
Yeah.
He's doing awesome, right? It's hard though. He's like, I got
And
to
when you
stay
get
in.
that time to confront yourself, and it's like, okay, where do I really want to go now? What do I want
Well,
to do?
well, so that's interesting, and I just wanted to throw something out there.
Hmm.
What's interesting is back when the pandemic first started, there was a commercial. I thought it was funny as hell, but I guess they pulled it because it was a guy who was at home and he was drinking alone, and he would look at household items and they look like people. So he would have conversation. I forgot the name of the liquor, but he would have conversations with like the
Sounds
faucet.
like wormwood or something.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
the faucet, right? And he'd say, "Hey, my man," right? And so it was like he was drinking. They were promoting drinking alone,
Hmm.
which and I think this
That's a
isolation,
George
right?
Thorogood song. That's about it. I drink
Uh,
alone.
So talking about that, so Beth,
Hmm.
where can people get in touch with you? How can if people want to learn about, reach out to you? You're always open
Oh yeah,
to.
absolutely. So it's Beth Stark, STARCK on Facebook, and then my Instagram is polarized underscore Goose Mom. Both accounts are open, which is good and bad. I don't know some days,
Right.
but they're not private. Just because I want people to be able to reach it. I think I sent it to you. I did that podcast, Recovery Happy Hour.
No.
Right? Oh, right when the pandemic
I'm
hit.
your agent. I'm your agent. Where's my where?
Yeah, you're mine too.
Yeah, I know. I'm both of your agents. I'm spreading the gospel. Okay, Beth, go ahead.
So I did that, and I ended up making connections with women that lived all over, and it's been amazing because I think that it's a private thing. It's like, through like Messenger, they don't have to like write on my page and say anything, and I'm able to have these conversations with people and be really, really honest. And I think that my honesty to some is probably like aggravating or annoying, but I needed honesty when I was going through it, and I found
Mhm.
it. And I found it through people on Instagram, and I found it through like Andy Jeff hooked me up with you, and I got the opportunity to meet so many people.
Uh,
And if I look,
Brene Brown, and you love Brene Brown.
I
Oh,
love
Renee
Brene
Brown.
Brown.
Yeah.
I
I
love.
love Brene Brown.
I
She's
got like 10 of her books to give to people that I
Braving the
work with.
Wild and yep.
But she's, I mean, all that stuff. And like, so it's the end of 2020. Um, it'll be 5 years in the spring since that day in the Charles River, and my life looks so different.
Mm.
It's so full. It's so awesome. I have my moments. I hate COVID. Dating is awful, but yet you want to try because it stinks being alone. Actually, my dating life is pretty good right now. But
Well, with the mask, like, hi.
no, I was lucky to meet someone prior,
Oh, okay.
like
Okay.
before the numbers got high.
Right. Right.
But it's just it's better, and it's more it's like full of honesty. And I don't know. I hope I'm being a good role model to my son, and I hope I'm being a good role model to the people I've gotten to meet.
So here's my last question. Go
Well,
ahead.
if I can add in, I mean, it really seems to be a specialized area, the postpartum depression. I know years ago there was a colleague of mine. I don't even know if she's practicing still, but her name is Beth Broderick Schmidt, and that was her whole specialty area was just postpartum depression. But she was working out of Medford. I don't know if you've ever run into her, Beth, or heard about her over the years, or.
No, it's interesting because I never like I ended up through the stuff that I've done with Andy, like people like I was able to get my name around a little bit, and I got to
Yeah.
do this really cool thing at the Co Center at MGH this year.
Yeah.
So it's part of a video for parents with substance abuse and/or mental health struggles.
Mhm.
And through MGH, I've gotten a couple more names of postpartum. Like I know I'm going into a very individualized like nook,
But a
but
much needed nook.
it's so needed.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then it's so scary when it happens. I mean, I lost everything, and I'm really lucky. Like my ex-husband and I get along really well. We co-parent really well, even in a pandemic. Like, I mean, things that I know that a lot of people are struggling with that we seem to have gotten down. But a lot of it was like me saying, owning my side of the street, making my amends, going to his family, making my amends, and every day, like waking up and saying, I'll be brave and strong for Philip, and I will face what comes, and I'll be honest, and I'll own it. And as long as I'm doing those things, I'm like hoping for.
You're doing the work.
You're doing it.
You're
doing it.
doing the
So,
work.
yeah.
Tell me, okay, so and then we're gonna hear from Willie and I hope you'll stay with
Oh
us.
yeah.
Okay. So tell me, were you always this way? Like, were you always this kind of person and that alcohol and your kind of depression took that from you? And that now that you're not drinking, this is who you are? Or did this become a byproduct of being sober? Like, in other words, did you go back to who you were
Yes.
maybe as a kid and then this kind of robbed you of that?
I was always a very sensitive kid, but when I was in third grade, I wrote a letter to Governor Dukakis, and I asked him to do something about the
Duke.
homeless problem, and he wrote me back. And I always wanted to be a social worker. And then when I was 18, I started my struggles with mental health, and drinking made it quiet. And I just got this. I was like, I'm not smart. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not that. So the fact that I graduated college, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I graduated magna cum
You
laude.
should toot your own horn.
And that I got into
Nobody else
swimming.
will. If go ahead. I mean, honestly.
No, it's like my dad is so proud of me. And I think I went back to who I was at 17, but stronger and braver.
Right.
But, yeah.
Right. So you found who that was by being.
But,
so if you could
I
advise
think you have to go far back the way that Beth is, though, because oftentimes I'll get clients saying, well, I want to get back to the person that I was right before I drank. And it's like, why would you want to do that? And they look at me and it's like, isn't that the person that set you up to eventually pick up? I mean, so I mean, you want to be exactly like you were before, or I mean,
It's a
but
great. I used to
if you go
smoke.
back to an innocent time like Beth is talking about, though, when things were rolling smooth and things were glass, then you have to figure out what were the trip ups.
Right, take a step. I quit smoking because I went back to who I was. I always hated smoking.
Hmm.
Right, I always hated it. I hated it, and I smoked for 18 years. Gave it up in 2003.
Hmm.
Haven't had a cigarette since. Don't
Hmm.
have no desire, but because I was always against it. But I had to go back and like look at who I was at
Way
that
back.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's true. School is making me do that. Like, again, I thought the class, like the coursework would really just the amount of work I had to do, but it is opening up so many doors. And then I'm thinking to myself, oh, like that happened when I was 17. And then I'm thinking back to the things I did. And then I became like a people pleaser and a yes girl. And I would do what everyone else was doing because it was easier than, kind of speaking my mind. Now you can't get me to shut up. But that's how I was when I
I
was a kid.
I know. And on that note,
I was
no,
on a
I'm
comedy
kidding.
scene, so
I'm
yeah.
kidding. No,
Yeah.
stay with us. Okay, we're
I'm
gonna
not
go.
leaving. I'm not leaving.
Okay, don't leave. Um, let's piggyback off that. Willie is obviously he's a
Yeah, there was a
well
handout that came out
regarded.
through the private practice colloquium on the North Shore back last March, and it's mental health wellness tips for quarantine, and it goes through a list of points and stuff. The first one here is stick to a routine, go to sleep and wake up at a reasonable time, write a schedule that is varied and includes time for work as well as for self care. So staying on a schedule is huge. Uh, Before the pandemic, even if you're someone in early recovery, it's really important to have a schedule. To know what you're going to do day by day.
So how do you cope with it right now if like I hate holidays, right? Because it takes me off schedule. It really
Hmm.
messes with my structure
Yeah.
of, it's like, okay, stop, right? You could be on a
Probably the
momentum.
hardest thing.
Stop.
Probably the hardest thing for many people, but the COVID has quote helped out in this. But the hardest thing for many people over the years has been scheduling their downtime. They
Yeah.
have no problem scheduling 40, 60, 70 hours a week, but actually scheduling downtime, and stuff. And that's why it's important to make sure that you're taking time off, not just once a year, for a week or two. It's really important to schedule downtime every single day. For the next 2 hours, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to go to Hulu and watch Family Guy. It's going to be fine.
There you go. What are some of the other things that you
Number two here, dress for the social life you want, not just the social life you have. Get showered and dressed in comfortable clothes, wash your face, brush your teeth. I think we've gone into the Zoom period now where, where pants have become an option, so to speak. Everyone's in shorts
there's
and
a
flip flops.
commercial with that. Yeah,
I've
it's
got a
great.
neighbor. He was out in his yard the other day in between Zoom meetings and stuff, and he had on, a tie, a dress shirt, and khaki shorts. I mean, with flip flops. I mean, so I know, he's just sitting down for the Zoom meeting and he looks presentable, and this and that. But yeah,
Yeah, well, I agree with that because, for the longest time I was wearing t-shirts and stuff, and I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
I gotta put clothes on. Like I can't continue
Pajama
to,
man, right?
right, like George on Seinfeld, who's like, I'm gonna wear sweatpants, Jerry. I've mailed
Yeah,
it in. I'm wearing sweatpants.
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
you have to do that. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, next one, it's saying to get out at least once a day for at least 30 minutes. And it's like, there was just research that came out not too long ago. It was out of Harvard saying that there's a much greater mortality rate for people from lack of vitamin D and stuff. And
Yeah.
vitamin D is the sun. And, I don't know about you folks there, but I mean, I have a dog. I always have an excuse to go out for a nice, 1 to 3 mile walk with him, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, although not today, but yeah, but making sure that you get out at least 30 minutes a day. I mean, one of the things doing teletherapy from home and stuff too, the gyms, I really haven't been hitting the Y in a while, but what I got back to doing is in between clients when I'm doing teletherapy, I'll drop on the floor, do 10 push-ups. So
On
if
your
you
knuckles? On your knuckles?
not on my knuckles. No, no. I've had
Okay.
some hand surgeries. I'm not going on my
Okay.
knuckles. But just doing simple things like that, or when a commercial comes on TV, dropping on the floor and doing some crunches. So I mean, there's a way to keep yourself up physically too.
It's a little
But the
little
gyms aren't
things,
open.
right?
Yeah,
These are the little things. Okay,
yeah.
keep going. This
Next
is
one here, find some time to move each day, again, daily for at least 30 minutes or so. I mean, if I have a phone appointment with somebody, oftentimes I'm jogging in place throughout the phone call. you know?
Or you making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or
Yeah, no, I don't do that.
yeah, you don't do that, or like
I'm not a
okay,
PB&J guy, so
now you know what I'm saying. Okay,
yeah, I do though.
all
Yeah.
right. What else?
Next one here, it says reach out to others. You guessed it, at least once daily for 30 minutes. Try to do FaceTime, Skype, phone calls, Zoom, connect with other people to seek and provide support. And I think, we all know there's been virtual meetings that have been going on now, whether they're DBSA virtual meetings for the different groups, there's AA and NA virtual meetings. I have an older brother that's in the program and AA, and he's been going to meetings like, virtual meetings all over the country. And in addition to that, he went to one in Germany because he speaks German. He actually chairs. He's in Greenwich, Connecticut and stuff. He gets up on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock to chair a meeting that's actually in Melbourne, Australia, and it's 9 p.m. there and stuff. So he's retired. His big thing now is once this COVID ends, I'm going to start traveling and visit all these people that I was in the virtual meetings with, Australia, Germany, whatever the case is.
So he's using this time as really a way to um, do
Yeah,
something
for
productive.
fellowship
Productive.
and stuff. Yeah, fellowship of it. Next one here: stay hydrated and eat well. That's something I have to
That's a
stay.
tough one. That's
It
a
is
tough
tough.
one.
I have to stay away from the Ben and Jerry's after 7 o'clock at night. That's my downfall, man. Ice cream. Anyone else here? Ice cream
Yes,
people?
I'm an ice
yes,
cream. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
it's
It's really
Oh,
terrible.
tough.
That's why I'm
It
wearing
is.
clothes because I
yes.
find like right, like if you are wearing like sweatpants and they're making pants
Trying
for
to
like
pull the
stay at
belt
home.
extra tight so I can't get more down.
It's terrible.
It's
It's the
crazy, man.
COVID-20, right?
It
It's
is. It is.
the
It is.
COVID-19, right?
Yeah.
It's tough. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, the next one is to develop a self-care toolkit. It can look different for everybody. Try to do strategies that have a sensory component, the seven senses: touch, taste, sight, hearing, smell, vestibular, which is movement, and comforting pressure and stuff. So, but by the way, anyone know the memories that stay with you the longest?
The bad ones.
But which of your senses do you keep memories from the longest?
Oh, smell.
Smell. Yes, yes.
Really?
Yeah, no, and that goes back to your mother. I mean, you knew the scent of your
Mm-mm.
mother. You could be being passed around to aunts and uncles and you're crying, but when you get back to your mother and that familiar scent, it calms right down and stuff. It's amazing. But the sense of smell.
Okay, so then you have Beth, what are you doing with your stuff? Like
Yeah,
what are some of the what's your toolkit?
yeah.
Um, so I did stop wearing sweatpants because I put on a pair of jeans and wanted to cry.
Right.
So I do get up every day, shower, do my hair. Um,
Wish
I
I had hair to do.
Me too.
I
Me
try to
too.
establish some sort of a routine with my schedule. That's where for work, I get a little scattered because I find I'm working like in the morning and then I have to take time off for like homeschooling Philly and then I'll work at night.
Mm.
And then I'm reading like a fiend. I'm actually reading The Sober Truth right now, which is like blowing my mind. And yeah, I've just been kind of trying to take in new things to work on.
Yeah.
And then I am like, I'm watching a little bit more Hulu than I normally would. But, and then we get outside every day, weather permitting, for at least 30 minutes. And we do something outside. Because, and then I did buy one of those,
Inmates get to
the,
do that. Inmates can go out in the courtyard, so right.
like, those lights that they suggest people use for seasonal affective disorder?
I have one.
I have one.
I bought one, and so it sits on my desk next to my for 20 minutes while I'm doing work. So I kind
Bed
of
Bath and Beyond sells them.
yeah,
Lux
You could,
lights. Lux
yep.
lights.
yeah, looks
You
like
could
it.
have in the old days, you would have to get a prescription for them from your doctor. You
Oh
couldn't
wow.
just, yeah, at one point in time, it's
It
my
was better
understanding.
then too, because a lot of times, because it was a prescription, you could get insurance to cover it, but
Right.
now you can't.
Yeah.
It's short money. It's short money. It's
Yeah,
like
30 40
75.
dollars. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean 30 $40 for a small one and stuff. But they really do help, especially with SAD, with seasonal affective
Mhm.
disorders.
and
With
vitamin
we keep
D
Yeah,
and
with
vitamin.
we keep ours in our bathroom, so when we start the day, we've got the light on in the bathroom. It's as if the sun is coming up, especially
What's
now.
What's next?
Um, give everyone the benefit of the doubt in a wide berth. I know the first month or so here, my wife and I are both working from home, and I know the first month it was like, I'd be talking to people on the phone, and I'd be walking through the whole house and up and down the stairs, and she was like, "Can you just pick a spot and
This
stay
is my
there?"
workplace, right? This is
Yeah,
my workplace,
can you
right?
just pick a spot? So she's on the
Right.
second floor, and I'm in the man dog cave down the basement now. So and stuff, but
So
yeah,
you're giving her, so even though she's home, you
yeah.
have to treat it like she's at work. So you can't
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, plus you can't. I mean, we've been married for 40 years now and stuff. So I mean, I married my best friend, so there's no getting away
Oh,
from her. So,
tell me about tell
but
me
it's
about
like
it. You
even
again.
just that, yeah. I mean, when you're with each other like 24 hours a day. Now she's starting to go out for walks during the day, in between work and stuff, and but you can begin to grate on each other after a while. It's just like, oh, you're still here. It's like, yeah, the COVID is too. So
You
it's tough
luckily
stuff.
you like each other. We always say
Yeah.
that. Luck, thank God we like being around each other because otherwise it would be.
Well, the romance, I mean, with romance comes and goes. If you're not best of friends to begin with, I don't know. It can be tough. It can be a long haul.
What else you got?
What else I got? What else I got?
What else you got?
Let me see here. Um, Everyone find their own retreat space. Do you have a place in your house that's just your little niche, your little niche you can get away to and stuff.
Beth, you
Space.
have one? You have one?
not really. We're constantly like, I'm not kidding you. We have so again, we live with my parents, so we're upstairs. We have 3 rooms, and I think I'm moving furniture once a week because like I'm trying to get like we're worried that schools are going to go completely remote, so I need to have a space for Philip that he can do his work, and then I'm trying
That's
to have
happened in Wakefield now.
well,
It's
no,
all
that's
remote.
where he goes to school. Did they just say they're going
The
remote?
high school is all remote.
That's what, yeah. So we're waiting. He's in elementary school.
Okay.
So, and then I'm
Okay.
trying to have an area like where my school desk and my work desk is not in my bedroom.
Hmm.
And then I need, like, so we're constantly just moving furniture. I'd say that is probably my biggest stressor right now is space.
Yeah, my wife has rearranged her office like 3 or 4 times since the COVID began, just to have a different perspective, a different view. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
First it was in one window, now it's in another window, then it got turned around the other way, and it
Yeah.
just
It's tough. It's
yeah,
tough.
yeah.
What else is on that list
Next one
there?
here: expect behavioral issues in children and respond gently. How's it been for him?
He is a homebody by nature, so he kind of loves this. He's very happy. So when he's with me, it's me and him, and then his dad's remarried. He's got 2 stepbrothers, so he has
Yeah.
the best of both worlds. So I think he's been pretty good. There's been a little bit more back talk than we're used to, and a little bit more sass. And then I'm also discovering, like today, we were driving back from Waltham, and there was an accident. It took us an hour and a half, and so I used a word that I shouldn't have used, and now he won't stop saying it. So I'm also realizing that like I have to check myself, what like my mood before I just start spouting off.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
When in doubt, don't say anything, right?
Yes, yes. That's not my MO. So
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some other important stuff on the list as well. There's like a ton of them. What
Yeah.
are other key
Yeah,
ones?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna jump around and stuff too. To limit social media and COVID conversation. Welcome to CNN. Oh my God,
It's killed me. I mean, you
Yeah,
know what though? Here's the good news though.
yeah,
I'd like to speak on this one.
yeah.
Here's the good news. Yesterday we're driving down to New Jersey to help my father-in-law out, and when we're driving, they're introducing the new um, transition team, or not
Cabinet,
the cabinet.
the cabinet.
I was bored to tears. Bored to tears. I
I
like
think
tuned
that's
up.
what we. I think that's what we need now from
I,
government is just to be
bored.
bored. To be bored by it. It's
What
like,
am I gonna do now? I got no
yeah,
because I
there's
don't.
no firing off here and firing off
Or
there.
saying crazy stuff and
Yeah,
nicknames and stuff.
yeah.
It's like you're gonna miss me when I'm gone because I literally, I literally used to like talk to people about. Can you believe
Yeah, you
what
know
that?
how we joke and go, Mike, 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 Mike.
Right,
It's been 4 years of Trump, 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 Trump.
right.
Like, I'm out of my mind.
It's so normal, and I'm like, what am I gonna do now if politics isn't the thing that I'm
Hmm.
zeroed in on? Um, I got to find something new because that almost like fed my anxiety and depression and worry. I mean, does that register with you, Beth, at all?
a little bit. From I was gonna actually ask you, Willie, actually about this.
Yeah.
when you guys were talking about getting on each other's nerves, one of the things that I found with the beginning of COVID was I had a huge amount of jealousy towards people that were in partnerships because so I'm one of four. All my siblings are partnered off, and I was I was very jealous. I worked through it, luckily with my therapist because I had to, but I'd have friends that were complaining about being home with their husband, and I was like, "Are you serious? At least you have someone there. It's not just you."
Yeah.
I didn't know if you. I know I was so
Yeah,
sensitive
yeah,
to that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
I
I
don't
mean,
understand. I feel that way with kids. So,
no, 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 no. It's
yeah.
like I had an opposite effect where it was like, I was, I at the very beginning of the COVID, I'm outside and all my neighbors are working on their yards and, and they're going for long walks. And I was getting really, really envious of it and stuff. And, and I said something to my wife, Yvette, and she goes, uh, Willie, that's because they're out of work. And I went, oh, that's right. We're working. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing this because they're out of work. But I mean, I was seeing people, people going for walks with dogs that I'd never seen. I had never seen these people before, and all of a sudden, everybody's walking 3, 4 times a day,
Sure.
just to get out of the house. It was crazy.
How important is a grateful list? I mean, my wife and I have started
Gratitude
to do
list.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Very
things
Yeah.
we're
important.
grateful because when I start doing it, because I was in a real funk the other day and I
There's almost a
started doing
guilt
it.
on my end too. It's like the COVID from a career standpoint has been extremely beneficial. I mean, I'm turning away 3 to 5 referrals a week because I don't have the space, and there's almost a guilt about it. Is like, is it like I'm making money off the COVID? And it was like, well, no, because I was always busy that way. But it's just that feeling. I wish there were more therapists out there because therapists are booked out. I mean, I was referring to colleagues, and now my colleagues are full. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. I mean, if I get an emergency call from McLean's or something, and it's like, hey, is there any way? And then it's like, okay, I'll do bipolar hours. I'll do appointments at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. I mean, fine. Well, I've got a 9 o'clock tonight. With someone with bipolar disorder and
Well,
stuff.
so the grateful list is really interesting because
Gratitude, yeah,
yeah, because
yeah.
we're like Claudia, my wife and I were like, we give thanks every day.
Mm.
We give thanks literally every day. So it's Thanksgiving, but we literally, for simple things like having clothes to wear, having
Yeah.
having a warm coat, having warm socks, having food on your
Oh yeah,
table.
with we've been upping our contributions to the food banks. It's just like there's people out there that don't have enough to eat. I mean, nationally we're seeing it. It's a mess.
Right. So, it's like I'm sure people can find things to be grateful for,
Mm.
whatever it is in your life, because it could always be worse.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my golden retriever.
I'm grateful for you. Um,
Thank you. I'm grateful for all of you.
okay, all right, and Beth. Okay, what else? What else you got?
You talking to me or Beth? Because you said
Either
Beth.
you. Oh, I
Oh,
meant
okay,
you,
yeah,
Willie. What
yeah.
else you got?
To lower expectations and practice radical self-acceptance.
What's that
That's
look like? Talk
That
about
means
that.
I'm okay just the way I am. Everybody has issues, and that they're working on. Personally, I don't like, I don't like the term. Oh God, it's an old 12-step term. Character defects. It's like I'm not defective. I'm working on things. I mean, I drive my students nuts at UMass. They'll say, "Are you in recovery?" And I'll say, "No, I'm recovered." There's an ED on it, and they'll go, "Oh, you're recovered, huh?" And it's like, "Do you read the Big Book of AA?" And they'll go, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, in the Big Book of AA, it doesn't say those of us in recovery. It says those of us that have recovered with an ED." And they go, "Well, if you're recovered, what are you doing now?" And I go, "Self-actualization." And then I usually fly them a digit from my hand, and everybody laughs. But it's just, yeah, I'm doing self-actualization now. That's what. But everybody's got stuff to work on. It's just part of being human.
What say you, Beth,
I really
on
liked
that?
how you said that, Willie, because that's actually really resonating with what I'm reading in the Sober Truth, which is like
Okay.
for me. So I did AA, and now I do a litany of recovery based things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and especially because of my job, I've changed the verbiage I use about myself.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so what I did, I think it was like in May, I wrote a blog for This Is My Brave, and it was like my friends all read it, and they were like, "You're such a jerk," but because I was like, I'm lonely. This is not good. No, 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 no. But it was true. And I was like, you know what? I have to accept the fact that I am at that time. And it was very difficult for me to be like worried about my parents, worried about my son, trying to figure out what we're going to do for school, all this, and then also
Yeah.
try to take care of myself. So now I'm in a better state of like, this is what it is. Take it as it is. I'm lucky I have a job. I have my son.
Mm.
I'm very lucky for many things, but a gratitude list is huge. And then I would say
Yeah.
radical acceptance is huge.
Yeah.
It's
Good
such a
point,
good
Sam.
book. It's
Mm.
such a good book.
The
Um,
sober truth. Yes. Yeah.
okay, are there a couple more on there that you
Yeah. Let me go through page number 29. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, though, notice the good in the world, the helpers. No, notice positive things that are coming out of this. You know, people being human again and doing things. Did anybody happen to catch that guy the other day whose dog was grabbed by an alligator on
Oh
the golf
no.
course and he jumped in the water? And he pulled the alligator out with his dog and he got his dog out of the alligator's mouth. And the whole time he had a cigar in his mouth and he never dropped the cigar.
that's
It
tremendous.
was amazing, but he jumped in the water. The alligator went under with his little dog and he went under the water and grabbed the alligator and brought it up on the bank and pulled his dog out.
That's that's awesome.
But
That's
you know,
awesome.
I mean, all the people that are volunteering time at the food banks and helping out and clothing
Getting
drives,
out of yourself, getting out of yourself a little
getting out
bit,
of self, getting
right?
out of
And
self.
being ruminating in your own head, which is
Yeah.
always it's hard to do, especially right now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I thought it would be important for us to do the show today,
Mm.
because with the holiday coming up, I thought it would make sense to, have this, for not only people, but I think it's helpful to go through this on
Mm.
our own too,
Yeah.
to be able to talk. Okay, and I guess we have like a couple minutes left. Is there one more on there that we can
Yeah. Well, Beth, unfortunately for you, Beth, I'm going to be in touch with you because I think that we're running on the same vein on a bunch of stuff. So that'd be
And
cool.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
Yes, I really hope so.
Uh,
he'll change your life, Beth?
it's like that old song, I'm being followed by a bipolar. Got a bipolar woman. Okay. Anyway, though.
We're
So anyway,
fun.
it's saying here, oh, find lightness and humor in each
Yeah.
day. There's a lot to be worried about with good reason. Counterbalance this heaviness with something funny each day. Cat videos on YouTube, stand up on Netflix, a funny movie. I'm a big believer. My master's thesis was on the efficacy of humor as a component within the therapeutic relationship and health in general. So I'm a big believer in the use of humor in everyday life. There's actually a YouTube that's called F That Meditation that I'll often show to clients. I don't know if you've
Oh,
seen
I'm
it,
gonna write
Beth.
that down. No, I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah.
I
But
can't meditate.
the guy has, it's perfect for those of us with the bipolar piece too. It's great and stuff. But it's a beach scene and the guy's got a real calming voice. And then you actually start listening to what he's saying, and it's a riot. So you got to check it out,
I
Beth.
will. I will.
Yeah. Okay.
And the last one I saw, which is probably the most important one of them
Okay.
all,
Yeah.
was reach out for help, correct?
Yeah, it's a sign of strength to ask for help. It's not a weakness. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you don't have the information you need to move forward. It's a sign of strength to ask for help, not
Well,
a
that's
weakness.
what Brene Brown talks about, right, Beth? About vulnerability.
Yes, I'm working tomorrow. Actually, I have my son till 1,
Mm-hmm.
and so I tend to work on Thanksgiving because I realize that how lucky I am that I got the morning with him,
Mm.
and especially during COVID, there's just it's really breaking my heart. I really yesterday I was saying to someone, I was like, I just want to open like a place where we can all just sit 6 feet apart tomorrow. Because I worry about people. I
Well,
really
they're
do.
talking about, the overdose death numbers from this past year are going to be off the charts.
Oh, I
Up
know.
around 71,000.
I know.
So I mean, it's a tough time. I mean, I've had clients left and right going back into detox, or they're going inpatient psych with anxiety issues. I mean, it's been a tough haul.
Yeah, it's like a survival of the fittest right now,
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. And so I think, if you're running through the jungle, you're probably good to have people to run through the jungle with who are,
yeah,
you know,
mm,
on your team,
yeah.
and maybe block out the people who aren't necessarily good for you.
Well, right before
Yeah.
the COVID, Beth, I was actually asked to come down to speak at a DBSA meeting to open one up. So,
Oh no way! I loved them. I really
so
and I loved the people I got to meet. Because
mm,
I got diagnosed like 4 years ago, so it's still somewhat new to me.
yeah,
Like to a degree, and work. Like I did neuropsych testing this year, and they were like, "You're ADHD," and I was like, "You can't treat it because I'm bipolar." So it's like
yeah,
it's been a huge
yeah. You
learning
have to
curve.
be really, really careful with stimulants if you have
Yes.
a bipolar piece.
Well, you got to take like there's like a medication that you can take to kind of keep you even, and
Yeah.
then you can take the bipolar.
We're not.
Or
You got to
We're
be,
we're not doing anything. I'm just kind of figuring ways around it. I learn my learning style is just different. I do a lot of stuff auditory, which is great, and then I have a writing coach. Thank God. So
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Cool. If you like Beth too, I can forward you. It's like 50 techniques for maintaining stability with the bipolar piece from a homeopathic standpoint.
Yes, that
Can
would
we
be
put
great.
that on?
Please.
Can we put that on our Facebook page?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be so helpful, and I know my son would love that because I'm probably that's what I'm most worried about is what my mood during COVID and him, but he's good. He's good.
So this is the end of our show. We're out of time.
No, let's do
now.
another hour. Come on.
We're out of time.
Do another hour.
I'm gonna look at the clock and say we're gonna have to stop now. What? You do that, don't you?
60
Willie,
minutes.
you do.
You thought
Yeah,
60
you're like,
minutes was about to start, right?
I'm sorry, we're gonna have to stop now. We'll pick that back up. Any words
I
of
just hang
wisdom?
up the phone.
Yeah,
No,
goodbye.
I don't.
Any words of wisdom from you both before we sign off?
If you need help, reach out, please.
Yes, and stay safe, and do self-care. If I'm not taking care of myself, I can't be available to anybody else.
Yep.
Right, and get out of your. Mine is get out of your own head. Right. That's probably
Scary place.
it is a scary place. Well, listen, happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Happy
Yes,
Thanksgiving.
Michael Weber, happy Thanksgiving to
Michael,
you.
yep.
We will see you guys next week on the map, and have a great week,
Is
everybody.
Beth coming back? Back next week?
Beth has a. You know what? Beth has a permanent invitation.
Oh, come back. We'll have fun.
We love Beth.
I'll come back.
Everybody
anytime. This is
loves.
so much. Oh, you're so
Not everybody loves Beth. All right, kids. Well, listen. Have a good one, and we will catch you next time on the map.
Thank
The
you.
map.
Bye, Beth. Nice to meet you.
Bye. Nice to
Bye.
meet you too. Bye.